All right, we are back with another pick'em video. Going to be going over NBA today, and we got NFL as well. So, going to be touching on props that I'm liking in each of those, leagues, and ultimately going to give you guys a slip that I'm riding with, and feeling really good about today, just because there's a lot of NBA games, and of course, we got two playoff games as well in the NFL. But before we get into things, I ask you guys please subscribe, like the video, and comment down below. Just helps me grow the channel. But let's go into the games for the NBA today. We got a whole bunch, and there are a few starting today. It is Martin Luther King Day. So, people should have the day off work. But we're also getting a lot of NBA games throughout the whole day, including a game starting in about 30 minutes. So, not going to be touching too much on this one. I did point out in the Discord that this Tyrese Maxey assist line, especially if Embiid is going to play, looks like he's still a game time decision. If I go ahead and refresh this, maybe that's updated. So he's going to play. That's what I expected. And with Maxey, in the lineup with Embiid, his line at 7.0 for his assist line just seemed a little bit too high, especially going up against one of the more consistent defenses in Houston that we've seen all year. So that's something that I took. Again, you probably won't see this before this game starts, but if somehow I get it out before that, Maxey under assists at 7.0 seemed like a good spot for me. But let's jump into the board and see what we're attacking. Again, whole bunch of games. Some of these starting around 3:30, so that'll be in about 3 hours. And then I'll also be touching on the later games as well. So I'm going to try to get you guys as many picks as possible to kind of go out throughout the day. So jumping over to the board, we do see this Maxey line at 7.0. Again, this is a spot that I like him. These two games that he got over, were against pretty weak defenses. And again, no Embiid. He was kind of the head honcho there. And then against the Knicks, so I do got to tip my cap for him for there. But against Sacramento and Chicago, didn't even really come close. And again, against this Houston defense, I expect him to pretty much stay on the under there pretty consistently. I think he had like 4 assists against them when they faced off earlier in the year. But let's go to the early slate of games. First guy I'm going to be attacking is Victor Wembanyama. Hasn't been getting the minutes lately. He's been on the minutes restriction, and he's been in a few blowouts. But expect him to get 26 minutes. That's been around his cap, and he's been able to crush this line against really any team he's been playing. I'm going to go to his 3.5 blocks and steals. It's the highest blocks and steals line we'll see pretty much from any player. But at his 7'5" build, he's been able to crush this. So let's go over to Outlier, kind of see what he's been doing recently so far this year, even with that minutes restriction going on. So let's find Victor Wembanyama. We see there's a 2.5. Yeah, so over 3.5 blocks and steals. We see over in his last 10 games, he's gone over in 7 of 10 games. And again, these two, the 3 games, one was against Boston. This was a 30-point game. This one was against Detroit, where they won by 30, or about 22 or whatever, 23. And then Spurs also won this one by about 40 almost. So again, those are the blowouts I was talking about. And just didn't get there, but still got us around his 23, 24 minutes. I'm expecting him to get 26 minutes, and expecting this one stays close. It should be a high-scoring affair too. This is one of the higher spreads of the day. If we look at the total points, 246.5. It should be a high-scoring affair. So I was also looking at his points, rebounds, assists, and things like that. And he's got a great matchup here against Clint Capella for centers. For overall, they give up a whole bunch of blocks and steals, but also in terms of like points, rebounds, and assists, it's a great matchup for Wembanyama as well. Points allowed, rebounds allowed, assists allowed, all in the green. One of the worst in the league in terms of giving up points and assists. And to centers, it doesn't get a whole lot worse, especially with the points. So if you wanted to go to that, I would, I wouldn't mind that. It's just the edge we're getting on the blocks and steals line, I think, is the biggest one we're getting for Wembanyama as a whole. But let's go to OddsJam, check out his lines where they're lying and like the market value for each of his ones. I think I actually have it on DG Fantasy. No, let's just go to OddsJam. All right, Victor Wembanyama. Go ahead and apply him. We're seeing his turnovers line pop up. That's on an over 53.5%. I don't love that one, so the odds are liking this, minus 135 at MGM and DraftKings. But this is the one I'm liking. Again, it's been consistently hitting. He's got a great matchup against the Hawks. And at 3.5, they're giving it a 53.31% chance to hit. Again, minus 119 individual odds. When we put this into a flex play on PrizePicks, like a 5 or 6 minute flex play, and DraftKings got this up at minus 140, minus 131, minus 130 around these other sports books. So I'm liking the value we're getting, and I'm loving what he's been doing so far, recently. And then let's go to RotoWire, kind of see what they're projecting in terms of his line. I guess I already had him up there too. Wembanyama. We can see, what is it? We got to find it. Blocks and steals right here. They are projecting a little bit on the, so they're projecting exactly 3.49. So again, with the hit rate, with the matchup, everything like that, and the projection model not like favoring like a crazy under here, this is something I'm definitely going to ride with. So again, that starts in about 3 hours or so. So you should have some time to get this one in. And this is one that might move, but I could expect it being there till game time. So that'll be our first play. Let's move on to our next one. This one we're going to be talking about two later games, so you'll have plenty of time to get these ones in. This one's going to be Porzingis. This is for the Celtics. The bigger news here is that Jaylen Brown potentially could be sitting. Now, he did have a 1.5 3-pointers line, which I really liked, and we'll go over that in a second on Outlier. But I'm going to shift to his 19.5 points. Again, that 3-pointers line looks like it's been taken off the board, which makes sense. The odds were looking really good. Should not have been in prize picks. But 19.5, especially if Jaylen Brown were to sit, we can go check on this game right here. Again, this one's at 7:30, so you should have plenty of time to get this one in. Jaylen Brown is a game time decision, but when you look a little bit farther into this, he didn't participate in morning shoot around, so that's something that's big to me. That is an indicator that I think he's probably going to sit this. He hasn't missed a game since December 28th, so he could use a rest game as well. So I expect him to sit, and if he does, that's a huge boost for Porzingis. And we can check that out, like when Jaylen Brown did sit, how Porzingis played in that game, and it was pretty good. But let's look at Porzingis, what he's been doing, regardless of who's been in the lineup. We're getting his points at 19.5. So seeing it at 20.5 is an indication that this line will probably get bumped eventually. So try to get this one in early. We're getting pretty good odds, but we can see that his hit rate hasn't been the best in the world, even going up against Indiana twice. Obviously didn't get the minutes here, must have got injured, but hasn't been really scoring very consistently recently. In 2023 as a whole, it's almost at that 50-50 mark. 48% of the time he's gone over this 19.5 line. But again, that biggest thing, and it's going to be my call here, that Jaylen Brown is probably going to sit in this one. And the last time he sat, he had 35 against a Detroit team. This is against a Toronto team that plays a little bit. All their positional players are big except for their centers, so he should be the biggest guy on the court. Probably facing up against Pirtle if he's playing. He's been injured. We'll check out the injuries actually here. Pirtle is out again, so that's even a bigger boost. He'll probably be seeing Siakam down low, whoever they throw out down there, Thaddeus Young or something like that. So 35 last time when Jaylen Brown sat. I love that. And again, if Jaylen Brown doesn't sit, I think he has the potential to get this anyway. This is not last year. This is all without Jaylen Brown. But yeah, we know he has potential to score. If he can step back and hit some threes, like I took his 3-point line earlier, I think we got a really good edge on this one. So Kristaps Porzingis over 19.5. Let's check out the odds on OddsJam and kind of go from there. Not Victor Wembanyama, Porzingis. Looks like we're just taking everyone over like 7'3" in the NBA today. And we do see that points line popping up as a nice orange bet, 54.02% chance to hit. Again, everyone else on the 20.5, so a big indication that this one will probably get bumped, and I think that's because they're getting the idea that Jaylen Brown will probably sit this one. So Porzingis try to get this one in quicker, 19.5 points on the over here. And then last but not least, I'm going to go to John Collins in a 9 p.m. slot, so again, should have plenty of time to get this one in. And I'm going to go to another blocks and steals line. Don't typically do this, but again, seeing some pretty good edges here at under 1.5 blocks and steals. Let's go over to Outlier, kind of see what he's been doing so far this year. And yeah, we'll track it from there. But under 1.5 blocks and steals, we can see he's gone under this in 9 of 10 games. Now, I will say the last game against the Lakers, he pretty much went off because he had 34 minutes in that game. He's been pretty much consistently getting around 25-ish minutes, actually fluctuating everywhere from 25, 27 to all the way down to 14. So I'm not sure if that's indicative of his foul trouble. He does tend to foul a decent amount. He's kind of an undersized center this year. He's been in the starting lineup as the center for a decent amount of time now. But we can check out this game in particular. They are going up against Indiana, who doesn't give up a whole bunch of blocks or steals. They're very much in the steals department. They don't. In the blocks department, they do. So I guess it's more of a mediocre, middle of the road matchup for him. But again, checking out the matchup here, this one is later Indiana and Utah. We do see that this is about a 7-point spread. So if Indiana gets hot, this hopefully could be a blowout too, and minimizing some minutes there as well. But yeah, John Collins running out at the center. They're projecting around 25 minutes, I want to say. I looked a little bit earlier. Yeah, 25 minutes right here. So if he gets, let's say 27 minutes or less, this has been very consistent on the year. We can take a look at games that he's getting 27 minutes or less. So we can drop this all the way down, and we can see 13 to 15 games under that minutes mark. He's been pretty consistently under this. In terms of the head-to-head too, I'm not sure if they've played each other this year. Looks like they did play each other this year, and he had 0. So another kind of good indicator. Again, his matchup will be more Miles Turner than maybe Halliburton. So yeah, I like this spot for him. Hit rate looks great, and the odds are looking really good as well. Let's go take a look at him on OddsJam. Kind of check out where the other markets have his line. We'll go find John Collins. We'll go ahead and apply that. And we're seeing a rebounds line popping up. We're seeing points and rebounds line looking like they're expecting the over here. They're really liking this over on Caesars minus 142. So again, these are always other things you can look at. But again, I'm looking at the steals and blocks minus 1 point or under 1.5, 51.28% chance to hit. Everywhere else has got us around minus 125, so definitely favored a little bit on the under. But again, the hit rate just looks really good. If he goes out and gets 34, 35 minutes again, kind of randomly, maybe he sees that uptake in minutes. This is kind of like a turn in the season for him. But again, I kind of expect him more around that 25-minute mark, which would be great for us. So those are our 3 plays. Just going to talk about 3. Again, kind of got a little bit later on the day. 3 NBA. I'm going to talk a little bit about NFL. But the 3 plays, again, Wembanyama over 3.5 blocks and steals. Porzingis over 19.5 points, potentially no Jaylen Brown. And then John Collins under 1.5 blocks and steals against Indiana. All right, so jumping over to the NFL side of things, obviously we have 2 playoff games today. I thought it'd be a good opportunity to show you the new sponsor of the channel, DG Fantasy, and the correlation tool that they have. So if you haven't seen this already, or if you haven't even heard of correlation in prize picks or props betting in general, it pretty much allows you to attack certain plays that are probably more likely to happen in unison than not. So if one guy goes over his passing yards, one of his top receivers or some of his receivers will more likely go over their passing yards. So things that happen in unison, giving us an edge on hitting our parlays. Because if one guy misses, it's not the end of the world. We don't care if all of them miss. If one guy misses, we lose anyway. So if we do correlated slips where if one guy hits, it has a bigger boost for the other guys to hit, that's pretty advantageous for us. So this is the tool. You can just go in here, whatever books you have. Focusing on PrizePicks and Underdog for this one. You can click the books you have, and it will show you the correlation just right off the bat. It'll show you the slips that they're putting in, and shows you that it's been working over the course of a few months here. They're up over 751 units. This is just taking simply the correlated slips, and they're giving you an ROI of 24.4%. So if you put $5 in and played every single play that they had, obviously that's not you're not gonna be able to do that. But if you had done that, you'll be up over like literally on $5 slips, you'd be at like 30, almost $4,000 in profit. So again, they do it right here. Past earnings graph is for informational purposes only. It does not predict future earnings, but it's got a pretty good rep going so far. And we can also see, might as well talk about it too. We can see it comes in trends. So that big wins are going to be these big upticks, and then it's going to slowly go down. And then once you hit that big win again, it's a staircase in terms of those wins outweighing the losses. But let's go in. I like this this Eagles Buccaneers stack. You can create stacks on your own too. If you haven't heard of correlation, maybe this is sparking an interest in you. You can go ahead and create your stacks by yourself. Now, I will say PrizePicks has began shifting their payouts. So in terms of just doing Mayfield and Hurts's passing yards along with their receivers, they are shifting that payout now. But kind of the workaround has been going to pass completions or receptions for the receivers. So this is telling us, it's giving us, the best line. So as you can see, you might not see Mike Evans on this. And then you might be saying, oh, why would you not have him there? It might just because of his lines being a little bit too inflated, and you might be getting a little bit better value on K. Dotton and Chris Godwin in this matchup. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't replace Otten or Godwin with Evans. That's something you definitely could do. But again, it's very seamless to use this tool, and you could go ahead and just say, okay, this makes sense. If Baker Mayfield goes over his pass completions, that makes sense that K. Dotton and Chris Godwin are getting a lot of run and hitting their receiving lines. At the same time, Jalen Hurts, Philadelphia, going over his pass completions, that's going to be, the bulk targets are going to be to Goddard and Devontae Smith, especially with no A.J. Brown. So that's kind of how this works. It works not only for football, but for NHL as well. Again, the correlation in football is pretty huge, but in NHL, it makes sense as well. So if you're going under on a goalie saves, that might mean that the opposing team's shots on goal lines are also going to be hitting the unders. Now, you can talk about block shots and hits and those things as well. But again, it's just a correlation tool that gives you plays that should happen in unison, not should, but could happen in unison or more likely to happen in unison than not. And it makes it very seamless, and it has a track record of pretty good success. So this would be the picks, or quote unquote, the picks that I'm giving you for PrizePicks today for that Eagles Buccaneers game. That one's the later game in the slate. So I like the slip. It's something that I'll be running out. Will I probably be putting Evans in this one as well? Probably. I'll mess around with it for sure. But yeah, this one looks really good for me. And also just to show you that I do, use and trust this tool. This is something that I've put in already, that exact same slip. But again, I do want to say I will probably be messing around with putting Mike Evans in this line as well, and maybe taking the yards and receptions differently, making my own little stacks. But that will do it for this one. I do ask you guys to check out the links in the video description. They're going to give you deposit matches or free trials or discounts on any of the tools I was using, any of the platforms I usually bet on. For instance, Chalkboard has a flash sale right now for Kyrie Irving for a free square, 0.5 PRA. Obviously, he's going to get there. Chalkboard is on the up and up. They definitely are doing good things. They have alt lines as well. So it's definitely, they all have their uniqueness that draws more people to them. But Chalkboard is throwing promotions at us left and right throughout the day. They discount lines all the time, pretty much every single day. And then very consistently also, we get these free squares. So Kyrie Irving at over 0.5, obviously that's a go-to. You can use code RICHPICKS for 100% deposit match over there up to $100. And if you don't know what alt lines are, it would be like if you liked Steph Curry, you thought he was going to score 30 points, but you didn't know if he was going to score 32 points. You could go and change that line to 29.5, take the over there for just a different payout. So it gives you a whole bunch of different options and variations to the normal betting lines that we get. And then for sleeper guys, you're still getting that $500 deposit match. Don't know when this will go away, but it could be very soon. So if you're someone that has a little bit of money, you can go and throw $500 in there, and they'll match you for $500 of playthrough money. So very good incentive there. If you don't have that kind of money, maybe you just go in and put $15, and then they give you the $15 deposit match as well. So you got $30 to play with. But that's code Rich over there. Again, it's easier just to hit the links in the description down below. For Underdog, for Outlier, any of these tools I was using, again, Underdog also, you should be on all of them. It lets you get the most value in terms of line shopping and things like that. And they also all have their promotions like Freaky Friday, Wild Card Wednesday on Sleeper, Chalkboard throwing promotions at you. So they all have different promotions, and it's good to be on all of them. So definitely check them out. It definitely helps out the channel as well. But yeah, that will do it. Hopefully you guys have fun today. There's a bunch of sports going on, a ton of NBA games, 2 playoff football games. So you can't ask for much more. And hope you enjoy the day. I'll see you guys in the next one.